All right, folks, welcome back to another episode of Gear Gadget. Today we have a repeat offender, Tony Sangialosi, local guy here to us, really good friend, came in to talk about something new for him. Before we get into this episode, we do have a few ground rules. Tony is a repeat offender of this in text messages, but
allegedly,
you cannot use the term game changer during this show. Nothing here is changing the game. The game is the same. You might do it a little differently, but the end goal is to kill a whitetail. Second rule here, we're not here to bash any brands. If we talk about something being a gadget, it's not an attack at the brand itself. That product just isn't something that we think we should spend your money on. And rule number 3, if you like what we have going on, just leave us a thumbs up, subscribe, and let's get into it.
So what I want to talk about first is custom bowstrings. When I start to talk about custom bowstrings here, again, I want to reiterate, we're not bashing any brands, but I want to talk about first is the strings that you will get on your bow when you spend $1,800, $2,000, $1,500, whatever it be. Not every bow manufacturer does this, but when I made a purchase this year for a bow, and one of the first things that I do is that I change the strings. And the first reason why I change the strings, if you notice on these, what are they missing on the ends here?
The end loops aren't served.
Right. So there are no servings on these end loops. Now, does this mean that this is going to snap, break, cause your bow to blow up? Absolutely not. But that extra layer of protection is so important, especially hunting in the elements that we hunt in. 2, Cameron and Exodus just posted a video the other day about arrows. What people don't understand is the importance of your knock fit on the bowstrings. So if I were to buy a brand new bow out of the shop, I don't get to decide what the serving size is. I need to make sure that the serving size on the knock and on the bowstring are exactly what they should be and fit perfectly to make sure that you don't have any erratic arrow flight. When you go with a custom string builder, you're able to have that conversation with that builder of, hey, this is the knock that I'm shooting. I need something to fit. So now the custom string builder can either go with a thicker serving size or a smaller serving size. Another option is the color. We all like to accessorize our bows, right? I personally like something flashy. I like something that matches. And then, you have other people that just like to go with a black or a solid color or something with a twist. The last piece, which I think is the most important, is the customer service aspect of a custom string builder. If you have an issue with a bow that you buy and you have bad peep twist and you call one of these bow companies, they're going to tell you to do one thing: go to a pro shop. What that pro shop is then going to do is they're going to get a hold of that brand and try to get a string warranted. Now, we're all humans. We all make mistakes. There are going to be times where somebody doesn't do something perfect. However, you want to make sure that you have that phone number to call that builder so they can get it handled as soon as possible. What have you noticed on custom strings versus factory strings?
I'm the same way. The first thing I do when I get a bow, especially from Matthews, is I take the manufactured string off of it and I call a custom string builder right away. And we did some testing with the rotation of the string.
Good point.
And you're my string builder here. I guess we should say that too. Tony is a custom string builder, so you can take his word for what's happening here. And we were trying to determine what makes an arrow clock a certain way. So we have Tony on speed dial. I'm calling him up like, hey, Tony, I need a string twisted this way. I need it served a certain way. So you have the ability to talk to that person and they can say, hey, okay, yeah, I'll get that out to you. You might not be able to get it right away like I did, but you talk to your custom string builder and he's able to make you a string exactly how you want it. You can't call Matthews up and say, hey, when you send my bow out, make sure you serve it this way or put this type of string on it. You can customize the colors if you do the custom builder, but you can't get the customer service aspect of it and the longevity of a custom string compared to the standard string has been greater for me. You have to replace them less. I am a guy that likes to tinker though, so I replace my strings every 2 years probably because I'm getting a new sight and I want it to match. But the performance side of it, the longevity side of it, and just like the intimacy, I guess, with making it your own, I always go with a custom string builder.
Yep, I absolutely agree. And especially the material that we use is BCY 452X. Basically, it's the standard of bowstrings. When there's a new material that comes out, everybody starts to say, how is it compared to 452X? Those go on every single one of our bows, they go on every single one of your bows There's no tier packages. We don't offer an entry level package, a mid grade, a high grade. This is the standard for bowstrings for us. So we've had fantastic luck with it so far.
If you wanted a bow that shot faster, or you wanted a bow that you wanted the string to be quieter, is there anything you can do to manipulate the string?
Absolutely. So every bow brand will have a strand count that the builder should go by. So for example, if it's a 22 strand count, if it's a 24 strand count, if you add above that or at that, the bow is going to be as quiet as it should. Now you can go with less strands on the string, which will speed it up, but then you're going to sacrifice a little bit of noise too. I recommend sticking with whatever the manufacturer recommends. Again, they've done the testing on this. We're just going to build it better.
Yeah, I'm in. Custom bowstrings is quality gear, in my opinion.
Gear for me as well. Coming up here, Tony's actually going to be doing the strings on my ancient Switchback XT. Growing up, my grandfather always built all the strings for the bows that he ever sold in his shop. He'd yank all of the manufacturer strings right off. He'd make brand new sets, put them all on there. He never had any issues like you would with a manufacturer string, minus, couple not so smart people hitting the strings with broadheads in the tree. That was the first thing he would do, is make sure none of the limbs were cracked or anything like that, and then brand new string on it.
So I will also say gear, and I want to add one more point. When you get a bow, get it set up. So I'm not saying you have to time in and this or that, but at least get your D loop on it, get your peep sight, and get everything ready to go, and then get a custom set. So therefore, knock on wood, if you do have a slip up, like Lucas just said, and you accidentally cut one of the strings, you have something to immediately put on if you're on a hunting trip. Now, if you're at home, call me. I'm not going to leave you stuck. We'll get you set out as fast as possible, but it's good to have that spare set ready to go.
So I am continuing the train of weird products that I find either in my grandfather's shop or when I'm out and about. And this is a Flextone grunt call here. What was it called, Cameron? The
All-in-one, all boned up.
The all boned up. So I was at Walmart the other day, and I always go through the clearance section, and they had a pile of these and a pile of Tink 69 sitting there. $5 a piece for these, $5 a piece for the Tink 69. So I couldn't pass it up. I had to get it just to see what it sounded like. I mean, for $5 for a grunt tube, it sounds pretty much what you would expect.
Can we hear it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And there is different noises on here that you can adjust.
Young buck, doe, fawn? Is that what that is?
Yep. What you do is, since it's a Flextone, it's not like a hard plastic, you can actually squeeze down and it'll compress the reed in here. So that's the young buck.
Virtually identical.
The doe. And
I've heard so many deer make that noise outside.
And there's even a volume control at the bottom.
Really?
So you can squeeze it to control the volume. Now, we've had grunt tubes on the show before. We had the Extinguisher, what was that, last fall? The Extinguisher is an awesome, awesome grunt tube made with quality components. It's super easy to adjust. You're not squeezing rubber to make different noises with it like this. This, I mean, it's junk. It's Gadget for sure.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to add there. A $5 rubber grunt tube with a reed in it. I'll stick with the Extinguisher.
Yeah, for sure.
I also have an Extinguisher. However, I'm going to play devil's advocate here. No, actually, I'd rather just use my mouth and go. So we'll stay with that.
Gadget for sure. Don't buy Walmart grunt tubes.
Gadget.
All right, for me, I am in the spirit of summertime glassing. I've been going out as much as possible, and part of my arsenal there for summertime scouting is a spotting scope. You got to have a good tripod for spotting scope. Part of my hunting strategy is glass. Sit behind the glass a lot. I'm traveling out west, prairie country, open country. I got to have good binos. To glass effectively, you got to use a tripod. You got to have some type of tripod to keep the glass steady. Holding binos or holding a spotting scope is just not going to work out. But you don't want to lug around a big Manfrotto tripod. Sure. So this here is the CRUI Traveler. I think it's the 5CX, the C standing for carbon. So this is a carbon fiber tripod, folds down really nicely, small, It has the Arcus Swiss plate on top of it, so it's Arcus Swiss plate compatible,
Nice.
which a lot of
Perfect.
glass is. It folds out, and I think it gets to like 58 inches tall.
Nice.
Pretty tall.
Man.
It weighs 1.5 pounds. The max capacity on it's like 8.8 pounds and 9 pounds. That's some heavy glass you're putting
Oh,
on
yeah.
top of that. For me, I think it costs $100. There's an aluminum version that's $80. If you want to go a little bit cheaper, it's going to weigh a little bit more. But I took this with me out to Colorado when we went elk hunting, thinking that we were going to be able to glass a lot. So I needed something small, light, that packed well. And this here was it for me. So the CRUI Traveler 5C, not the 5CX, the 5C.
I think those are so important. I know that, especially hunting, I'll just use this as an example. Even when I use my binos and I think I'm right on something, I can never find it. So having something like that where you can stabilize and make minimal smooth movements going to be super important.
Yeah, I don't think you can go wrong. You can add weight here on the bottom. There's a bubble level. This is on a ball head, pretty easy to maneuver. The ball head's not going to be the easiest to keep steady, but lock it in place. When you're on a spotter, you're not going to be really panning that much with it. Use your binos, pan, get on something, put the spotter on it, and get a better look at it. So, in my opinion, a lightweight, travel-sized tripod for summertime glassing or glassing when you're out hunting is a piece of gear.
I think that's 100% gear, especially out west. When do you see a hunter that's not with a tripod, right? Especially something light when you have a big hike in, that's gear all day.
Oh yeah, gear for sure. I like how it's the ball head on there instead of like the video like pan tilt head. You don't need that for a spotting scope
No,
or binos.
it's
Like
going to take up a lot more room.
exactly. You don't have that big arm sticking out. It's nice compact there. Like you said, it's not going to lock down as tight, but it's still going to get the job done.
Yep.
How far do those legs extend out to?
I think it's 58 inches.
58.
Yeah.
And there's what 1, 2, 3, 4. So you could get pretty staggered if need be.
Yeah, and then when you're extended, it's going to be a little bit more wobbly, but you can add weight to it.
Yeah.
If you really were in a situation where you needed to. But
Yep.
if you're sitting down on a hillside glassing, these legs will fold out pretty
That's cool.
wide.
Yeah.
So
See, originally when I first saw that, I wasn't sure if I was a fan of, that center access, that center pole there, not being able to like go down through the actual tripod like most other tripods. But
Yeah.
now that you mentioned that, like when you're sitting there glassing and you're trying to get that tripod down like super, super low, those adjustable center poles are a big pain in the butt.
yeah, and for packability,
Yeah.
I mean, you fold them up to it.
Yeah, there's not. I mean, even if your bag was filled, I mean, you could strap that to the outside of it, and
Yeah.
it's fine.
Yeah, piece of gear, $100. Save yourself some weight and get a better look at what you're after.
Yep, I'm in.
Gear.
Here.